Hello, Americans. Welcome to Election Night, 1916. We have the first poll closings of the night in Indiana and Kentucky at 6 p.m. Of course, as you can see, neither of these states, not all of these states. The poll closings are not for all of the state. It is just for some of the state. So, therefore, we cannot project. This is not even 50% of the vote in each state, except, Indiana is about 70% of the vote. We cannot call either of these states. Indiana, one of these states, is too close to call. However, the Republicans are leading by a pretty wide margin. Kentucky, the other state, too close to call. Again, not all the votes in these two states have been counted. Democrats leading heavily, just 6/9 of the votes, or of the state's votes, are in. So, as we can see, President Wilson is at 0 electoral votes, and Republican opponent Charles Evans Hughes, a justice on the Supreme Court, has also 0 electoral votes, of course. No state has been called yet. They are tied. We see next, these are 7 p.m. poll closings. We see that the rest of Indiana is closing. The rest of Kentucky is closing. We also see that most of Florida has the polls are closed. In Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, Vermont, and New Hampshire, the votes are also closed. The polls are closed here. We have a projection. Wilson wins Virginia easily. President Wilson lived in Virginia for much of his life. However, he was born in the South, grew up in states like Georgia and South Carolina, then became governor of Princeton University. But throughout here, Wilson lived in Virginia much of his life. This favorite son factor easily wins him the state of Virginia. We also have another projection. Wilson wins Florida, also easily. Of course, there's the solid South. The Democrats are likely to hang on to the solid South by pretty wide margins. This goes for Florida. Many electoral votes. Wilson just grabbed them, We have another CNN projection. Hughes wins Vermont easily. Justice Hughes wins Vermont. This is a northern state that, can easily go to the Republicans. New Hampshire next door is going to be a bit different, though. We can project that New Hampshire is too close to call. Republicans are leading moderately. They are leading by a pretty, moderate margin. However, the Democrats can, take it back whenever they want. The Democrats can easily win. This is a state that is up for grabs. We have another projection. Wilson wins Georgia. This is a state that President Wilson had lived for much of his life, along with Florida, and along with Virginia. And this is, a state in the solid Democratic South. No surprise here. Georgia goes to President Wilson. We have another CNN projection. Hughes wins Indiana. This was a state that was too close to call earlier, just because not all the vote was in. And now we can project that Charles Evans Hughes, justice on the Supreme Court, will win Indiana. We can also project that President Wilson will win Kentucky. Again, this is another solid South state. We are not seeing any surprise here. We have another projection. Wilson wins South Carolina. He also lived here for some of his life. Favorite son factor plus the solid South, just like Virginia and Georgia. This is no surprise. So, now we see President Wilson in the lead. Of course, some of these southern states are going to go to President Wilson. And President Wilson leads with 41 electoral votes, and Justice Charles Evans Hughes only has 4 electoral votes. These 4 come from the state of Indiana. Alright, now we have our 8 p.m. poll closings. We have poll closings in many states. Complete poll closings of the states. We are finishing off Tennessee. We have Mississippi, Alabama closing. The rest of Florida closing. Most of the vast majority of Texas is closing. Oklahoma is closing. Vast majority of Kansas is closing. Missouri, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Maine are completely closing. And we see that about half of South Dakota in the polls are closing there. We do have a projection in Ohio. Wilson wins Ohio. This was a state that was too close to call earlier, but we can now project that he will win the state of Ohio. We also have another projection here. Charles Evans Hughes, Justice Hughes will win West Virginia. This is a state that usually goes Republican, and not much of a surprise here. Of course, it didn't go too close to call, so this isn't a state that was hotly contested. We have another projection. Hughes wins Pennsylvania easily. This is a northern state. This is a big industry state with workers that will turn out heavily for the conservative Hughes. Well, I shouldn't say conservative. He's pretty moderate. But Hughes wins Massachusetts. Massachusetts is another northern state. Of course, this is solid for Hughes. This is Hughes territory. We also have another projection here. Along with the solid South theme, of course, the South is going to go Democratic. Wilson wins Alabama. Not a surprise. We have another projection. Wilson wins Tennessee. This is another southern state, and Hughes didn't make much of an attempt here. In fact, he didn't. Justice Hughes didn't make an attempt in the South at all. And Wilson didn't either, you could say. However, he knew he was going to win it anyway. That's why he did not make an attempt. We have another projection. The southern theme. Wilson wins Mississippi. No surprise. And we have another projection here. Hughes will win Illinois. This is a state where there are many factories. It's an industry state, a state that helps the United States economy. They have a big economy here, and many of these workers and business owners are going to turn out very heavily for Justice Hughes. We also have another prediction. This state was a bit close, however, it is not too close to call. Hughes will win the state of Michigan, another big populated state that Hughes will do better in. However, Wilson will win Missouri, not quite easily. However, this is a pretty northern state. It used to be part of the Solid South until 1904, when they broke from party lines and voted for Theodore Roosevelt instead of Justice Alton B. Parker. However, William Jennings took it back in 1908 with the Democratic Party, and of course, Woodrow Wilson won in 1912, and President Wilson will now win it again. We have somewhat of a projection here. South Dakota is too early to call. This is because it's not too close to call. The Republicans are leading by pretty good margins. However, only half of the vote is in. It is not possible to tell who will win. It is too early to call. We have another projection. Wilson wins the state of Kansas. This is a farming state that could easily go to President Wilson. Not much of a surprise here. Wasn't hotly contested. Not too close to call or anything like that. We have another projection. Wilson will win the state of Oklahoma. Wilson will be very popular in the Midwest. He will represent these farmers, and he will likely win many of these states. Oklahoma, not surprised, goes with the Kansas, how they went to him. We have another projection along with this Midwestern theme. President Wilson will win the state of Texas. Not pretty easily, but this is, partly a section of the Midwest. But it's also a southern state that was expected to go to President Wilson. Not much of a surprise here. No one really expected Hughes to make a very good attempt here. We have another projection. Justice Hughes will win the state of Delaware. Now, Delaware, it's another northern state that President Wilson didn't make a good attempt in. He did win it in 1912, but that was only because of the split Republican vote. Many of these states that are going to Hughes and Wilson, for that matter, actually went to Wilson in the 1912 election. We have another projection here. Justice Hughes will win the state of New Jersey. This is a state right next door to his home state of New York City. Not New York City, New York. And much industry here. He will connect with these voters a lot. Another projection, Wilson will win the state of Maryland. Now, this is a southern state that went to him in 1912. It is classified as a southern state. Delaware is not, New Jersey is not, anything like that. This was expected. This was favored to go to President Wilson, for it is in between what states he most lived in for the most of his life, New Jersey and Virginia. We have another projection. Justice Hughes will win the state of Maine. These royal votes are coming in, and they are turning out heavily for Hughes. This is no surprise. Hughes wins by a very large margin here. We have another projection. Justice Hughes will win the state of Rhode Island, another northern state with a strong economy where workers will turn out heavily for Justice Hughes. We have another projection. Hughes will win the state of Connecticut. No surprise here, comes right next door from his home state of New York. He campaigned here, and his economy-based campaign is doing well in Connecticut. People are really enjoying it. So that is the end of the 8 p.m. poll closings. Sorry. And President Wilson has many electoral votes, and Justice Hughes has 161. It is, President Wilson leads. Now we have 9 p.m. poll closings. From CNN, the state of New York, his home state, is fully closing. Louisiana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona are completely closing. And the rest of Kansas, Texas, and South Dakota is closing. We have a projection here. President Wilson will win the state of Louisiana. This is another solid South state. This is no surprise. And of course, Charles Evans Hughes will win his home state in New York by a wide margin. This was a Wilson state in 1912. However, that was just because of the split Republican vote, and the favorite son factor here easily goes to Charles Evans Hughes. We have a projection here. Minnesota is too close to call. All right, and all of the votes are in, but they still need to finish counting these last few votes. But it is too close to call. This is a very narrow state. Minnesota is extremely narrow at this moment, and this could be a key factor when it comes down to the wire between Wilson and Hughes, if it does. However, the Republicans slightly lead. The Republicans are leading in Minnesota. This is a big call of this day. Wisconsin. Justice Charles Evans Hughes will win the state of Wisconsin. This is a rural state that both Wilson and Hughes made a good attempt in. However, Hughes is pulling out victory here. We have another projection. Wilson will win the state of Nebraska, another Midwestern state that President Wilson seems to be doing good in. Many believe that Hughes would make a good attempt here, but as of right now, he is not. President Wilson is doing much better in the Midwest than Justice Hughes is. We have another projection. President Wilson will win the state of New Mexico. This is another rural state that was expected to go to President Wilson. We're not seeing much of a surprise here. He didn't win it very easily. Hughes made some attempt here, but not enough. We have another projection. Wilson will win the state of Arizona. This is a region of the country that Wilson will do well in. As he carried New Mexico, he wins Arizona, which comes right next door. North Dakota is too close to call, even though that all the vote is in. It is too close to call. It's not too early to call. All the vote is in. We just need to count these last few votes. Like Minnesota, it's too close to call, and this could be another one of those key factors of this election. We have a new call here. Hughes will win the state of South Dakota. This is his first Midwest pickup of the evening. This is great for the Hughes campaign. They did believe that they would ultimately lose all of the Midwest after President Wilson won in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. This is huge for the Hughes campaign. They need North Dakota, and they need states like Wyoming, Colorado, Nevada, Utah, more Midwestern and rural states. The states like this will win them the election. He needs these. President Wilson still leads with 210 electoral votes to Charles Evans Hughes' 197 electoral votes. We are done with the 9 p.m. poll closings, and we are now at the 10 p.m. poll closings. We have poll closings in Iowa, Montana, Utah, and Nevada. All of the polls are closed immediately, and then in probably about 3/4 of Idaho is closing, and just a bit of Oregon is closing. Idaho is too close to call, with about 3/4 3/4 of the state votes in, we cannot say. It is very close, and this is also too early to call. But the Democrats are leading. We just need this tiny bit last of Idaho, their vote to be counted to officially say who will win it. This could be another main factor of the election. Again, the Democrats lead very narrowly. We have another projection. Hughes wins Iowa. This is great for the Hughes campaign. They need these Midwestern states to win this election. After South Dakota, this is great for them. This shows that they can win states in the Midwest. They need these Midwestern states. We have another projection. Wilson will win Montana. This is a small blow to the Hughes campaign. It was expected to go to Wilson. However, it is classified as part of the Midwest, so they were hoping to get it. But no surprise here. Wilson wins Montana. Wilson also wins Nevada. This was a state that Hughes needed because of these progressive votes. In Nevada, Hughes needed these. Especially. And the factor of women's rights, where women's suffrage, where Hughes strongly supports them, and there are many progressive women in a state like Nevada where women can vote. However, President Wilson will win it very narrowly. Wilson will also win Utah, another blow to the Hughes campaign. This is another state that Hughes, wanted to win very badly, another Midwestern state, but it will go to President Wilson. Now, at the end of 10 p.m., poll closings, we have President Wilson leading still with 221 electoral votes after his pickups in Utah, Nevada, and Montana. And then Justice Hughes has a bit less electoral votes with 192, about a 30, or it's to be exact, 29 vote difference, again, in electoral votes, of course, not popular votes. We now have 11 p.m. poll closings. We have poll closings in Hawaii, in California, Washington, and we are getting the rest of the vote in Oregon, which is most of it, and that last 3/4 in Idaho. So this will be very key because Idaho and Oregon were too close to call before. Oregon is too close to call. We cannot predict the state. The Republicans lead very narrowly. This is an intensely close state. California is too close to call, but the Republicans are leading. This was expected. Both campaigns need California extremely badly. Both campaigns need it so badly. At the end, this could win the election because of its many electoral votes. It's a progressive state that could go either way. Washington, too close to call. Democrats are leading. This is when the campaign gets very intense with these West Coast swing states. However, in Oregon, Hughes we can now project that Hughes will win Oregon. We just categorized the state as too close to call, but as more votes just came in, Hughes will win the state. 100% of the vote is in, and Hughes has won the state of Oregon. This is a major pickup for the Hughes campaign. So, at the end of the 11 p.m. poll closings, President Wilson still leads with 221 electoral votes to Justice Hughes, 197. Next, this is the end of the night. CNN wishes you a great night. No candidate has won the presidency. There are 270 electoral votes needed for the presidency, and Wilson leads with 221. So, have a good night, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Good morning, and we have breaking news. Charles Evans Hughes has captured all swing states. Charles Evans Hughes has been elected the President of the United States. He is unseating President Wilson. Washington, which was too close to call last night, we can now project that Hughes will win with 99% of the vote in. We can also project that Hughes will win Idaho with 98% of the vote in. Hughes will win New Hampshire. This was a too close to call state from the very beginning, and it was so close all throughout. Hughes will win the state of North Dakota. Hughes will win the state of Wyoming, another Midwestern state that they need. Hughes will win California, and California is key to his victory. Charles Evans Hughes, justice on the Supreme Court, has been elected President of the United States of America. We have a new president, people. we have more breaking news. Charles Evans Hughes is not president. All votes have been counted. Not, that extra 2%, that extra 1% in all these swing states. And somehow President Wilson has won in a number of these swing states. We can project that President Wilson will win the state of Wyoming, which we had just called for Hughes hours earlier. But now with this extra 1% of the vote in, 100% of the vote in now, we can project that he will win the state of Wyoming. We can also project that he will win North Dakota by more than 1,000 votes. It would look like a Hughes state hours earlier, but we can now project that it will go to him. Wilson will also win the state of New Hampshire with 100% of the vote in. This is insane, folks. He will also win Idaho. He will also win Washington. This puts him at 264 electoral votes, and 266 electoral votes are mandatory for the presidency to win the election. This is insane. We thought we could call these states with 1 to 2% left of the vote left, but with 100%, Wilson has pulled out victory from Hughes in Wyoming, North Dakota, New Hampshire, Idaho, and Washington, as we just looked at. This is insane. This is a crazy election. Wilson is at 264 electoral votes, as I just said. 266 are mandatory. There are 2 states left that are still too close to call. Washington and Minnesota, which we had just called for Hughes, but they are now up in the too close to call column. We are just getting the few votes left, and it is coming down to the wire. Wilson needs one of these states to win the presidency. Hughes needs both. As I said, California or Minnesota will do it. Hughes has 242 electoral votes. Hughes needs both of these to do it. We have breaking news, people. With 100% of the vote in, Minnesota has gone to Charles Evans Hughes. Minnesota has gone Republican. We can now project with, again, 100% of the vote in. Charles Evans Hughes will win Minnesota. This all comes down to California. Whoever wins California wins the presidency. If Justice Hughes wins California, he wins the presidency. If President Wilson wins California, then he is reelected for a second term. And we now have our projection. CNN, with 100% of the vote in, can project that President Wilson will win California. Progressive women have turned out heavily in California, even though President Wilson has criticized women's suffrage. They have still turned out heavily for him. The state is swung to Wilson. We just called this state for Hughes, but with these progressive women turning out to vote and 100% of the vote in, we can now project that this will go to President Wilson. Thomas Woodrow Wilson is reelected the President of the United States. The California Republican Party has now conceded. Wilson is to be sworn in on March 4th, 1917. We have our final electoral map. Wilson wins with 277 electoral votes. He wins in Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, one faithless elector from West Virginia, Maryland, New Hampshire, and Ohio. He wins with 277 electoral votes. Charles Evans Hughes comes in second, obviously, with 254 electoral votes. He wins Oregon, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, 7 of West Virginia's 8 electoral votes. Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine. If Charles Evans Hughes had just captured a few more of those Midwestern votes, or New Hampshire for that matter, he would have been elected the President of the United States. Woodrow Wilson is our president for a second term.